So what we've been doing as a building block is first ensuring that we are operating to destinations where we are meeting, of course, our costs, because commercially it has to make sense. And then a lot driven by demand recovery, or where do we see bookings in the different countries that we operate to. So some of the changes that we've made in our network is both growing some destinations and also for some destinations reductions. If I start with some of the positives is on London route, we've seen quite an increase in demand bookings on that route. This is mainly driven due to, the biggest factor that drives demand recovery is restrictions. And we know UK has been in the forefront, easing the restrictions for travel. So for UK, we are back to pre-COVID capacity. We are flying daily flights. And in fact, we are looking to grow more frequencies, which serves then, of course, very well our customers. We've also opened some destinations that we had suspended in 2019. I think a notable one is Khartoum in Sudan. And we've done it differently. And here we've linked it with Southern Sudan. We fly to Juba today. So we resumed Khartoum, linking those flights with Juba. We've also recently changed the days of the week, basically listening to our customers and ensuring that we are flying on the days that offer convenience for them. I think Rome Milan is one of those big routes. We had announced that we will be operating this year. It was going to be a seasonal operation, mainly targeting leisure traffic that we expect to see a lot of that as countries open up. Unfortunately, when we look into our summer bookings, we still don't see bookings at a level that we were anticipating. And then second is, of course, there's the heightened political situation in Kenya. Of course, we've got elections in August 9th, which also is playing is a playing factor to, I think, why we are seeing not as much bookings as we had expected. So we've postponed launching Italy. In Cameroon, we fly to 2 destinations today. We fly to Yaounde, but we also fly to Douala. So we will stop flying to Yaounde and operate a non-stop flight to Douala, because today we link those 2 cities. So on one hand, we are improving the customer proposition or the customer product with a non-stop flight to Douala, which is the key market. And of course, we are stopping Yaounde. I think also, if we look at other markets like Europe, we continue to increase the flights we operate there. Also, mainly in Africa, where we've restored about 60% of our pre-COVID capacity. So we continue to increase frequencies because we are already back to about 90% of the destinations we were flying to. And we are especially accelerating serving leisure markets like Mauritius, Seychelles. We'll be opening up Madagascar soon because, of course, as expected, there is much more appetite for leisure travel after people have stayed at home for 2 years.
Well, in addition to these changes that you're making to your route networks, we know the airline recently received a capital injection of about 26.6 billion shillings from Kenya's government. How do you expect these changes to impact your revenues and certainly the airline's overall bottom line going forward?
We have to have a network that, again, commercially makes sense. It's making money for the company, because we're going through a transformation which should ensure KQ becomes a sustainable business moving forward. So the network changes we are making should drive more customers because they are giving more value to the customers, more connectivity. So that's one. And then 2, we of course expect a growth in revenue. If we look at how we performed in 2021, we actually do expect quite a good increase in revenues in 2022. And of course, as a business, we are also working on other measures, especially around cost containment, because to ensure that KQ is sustainable, we both have to drive the top line, which is the revenue, but also we have to especially address some of the legacy cost issues that we've had in the business. And part of that capital injection from the government is going into addressing some of those legacy issues.
Well, talk to us now about some of those partnerships you're looking at going forward. And certainly after shelving your plans to nationalize the airline, we know you're now working with Seabury Consulting to reorganize the company. Is there any update also on the airline's plans to come up with a new and viable turnaround plan?
But when we look at partnerships, again, this is a critical path towards recovery of Kenya Airways. Why is one, we know with partnership, we'll be able to create economies of scale that allows us to lower our cost base. We'll also be able, to lobby governments to also take some measures on some of the taxations and airport charges that and infrastructure charges that ultimately amounts to cost of ticket being very expensive in Africa. So that's two. And I think three is also just offering a compelling product or value proposition to our customers. It's not an exclusive partnership for both just Kenya Airways and South African Airlines. We'll be looking for a partner, especially in West Africa, so that we can connect, the three parts of our continent, and again drive that connectivity with competitive pricing that should stimulate travel within Africa.